Admiral Zephyrus of the Galactic Empire adjusted his ceremonial collar as he gazed through the viewport of his flagship, the Dominion's Edge. Before him stretched a fleet of 1,200 warships, their hulls gleaming like silver daggers against the star-speckled void. Each vessel was a masterpiece of engineering, equipped with plasma cannons capable of melting asteroids and shields that could withstand the fury of dying stars. "Sir," Lieutenant Vex announced from the communications console, "we're receiving transmissions from the human colony ships. They're laughing, sir." Zephyrus raised one of his 6 eyebrows, a gesture that would have seemed comical to humans, but conveyed deep incredulity among his species. Laughing? At the sight of the Empire's greatest armada. The communications array crackled to life, and the bridge filled with the sound of human mirth. Through the static, voices could be heard making jokes about flying tin cans and compensating for something. One particularly bold human voice declared, "Wait until they see what we've been cooking up in the garage." "Primitives," Zephyrus muttered, though something about their confidence unsettled him. Earth had been isolated for 3 centuries, ever since they'd refused to join the Galactic Empire's expansion. Intelligence reports suggested they'd barely achieved faster-than-light travel, relying on crude fusion engines and metal-plated hulls. Their weapons were supposedly kinetic projectiles, bullets, essentially. Medieval technology by galactic standards. The scanners detected movement from the human fleet. Where Zephyrus expected to see massive dreadnoughts emerging from hyperspace, instead a single vessel appeared. It was small, roughly the size of a destroyer, with an oddly organic hull that seemed to shift and ripple like liquid mercury. Strange appendages protruded from its surface, twitching with an almost biological rhythm. "One ship?" Lieutenant Vex's voice cracked with disbelief. "Sir, they've sent 1 ship against our entire fleet." Zephyrus felt a laugh building in his chest. This was better than he'd hoped. The Empire would barely need to fire a shot. "Open a channel to all vessels. Let them witness the Empire's mercy before we demonstrate its power." But before he could give the order to fire, the human ship moved. It didn't accelerate. It simply was somewhere else, as if reality had hiccuped and repositioned it. The craft now floated directly in the center of the Imperial formation, surrounded by startled warships that were now targeting each other in their confusion. "What kind of propulsion system?" Vex began, but his words died as the ship began to change. The organic hull started expanding, unfolding like a flower made of living metal. Tendrils emerged, each one splitting into thousands of smaller appendages that reached toward the nearest Imperial vessels. When they made contact, something extraordinary happened. The massive dreadnought Emperor's wrath simply came apart. Not destroyed, not exploded. Its molecular bonds seemed to dissolve, and its matter flowed toward the human craft like rivers of molten metal. The ship was absorbing the Imperial vessel, growing larger and more complex with each passing second. "All ships, open fire!" Zephyrus roared, but panic had already seized his fleet. The human craft had grown to 10 times its original size, and now dozens of tendrils were reaching out to embrace more ships. Each contact resulted in the same terrifying absorption, the Imperial vessels becoming part of something greater and more alien than anything in their databases. Captain Sarah Chan sat in the bioneural control pod of the synthesis, feeling the ship's consciousness merge with her own. Around her, the vessel's living walls pulsed with bioluminescent patterns, processing the absorbed Imperial technology and incorporating it into their ever-evolving design. Prototype Omega-7 performing within parameters, she reported to Earth Command through their quantum entanglement communicator. Nanotechnology integration successful. The Empire's weapons are actually quite sophisticated. The ships already figured out how to improve their plasma cannons by 40%. Through the ship's distributed consciousness, she felt rather than saw the Imperial fleet's growing desperation. They were firing everything they had, but the synthesis was learning and adapting faster than they could adjust their tactics. Each absorbed vessel made it stronger, smarter, more capable. The Galactic Empire had made the classic mistake of underestimating their opponent. While they'd been perfecting traditional warfare, Earth had been developing something entirely different, living ships that could evolve, adapt, and grow stronger with each encounter. Admiral Zephyrus watched in horror as his mighty fleet dwindled to nothing, absorbed by a single craft that had transformed from a modest destroyer into something that defied classification. As the final ship, his own flagship, felt the gentle touch of the alien tendrils, he understood the truth. Earth hadn't been hiding in isolation. They'd been preparing.